How's it going, folks? This isn't a video about butcher birds, but I just thought I'd show you this little lady. She's got a nest full of young, and we've been feeding her some mealworms, and she's been taking them back after she has a feed for the young ones. We'll probably see them visit in a couple of weeks' time. There we go, got a nice beak full, and she'll be off. What this video is actually about is the garlic I harvested yesterday. I wanted to show you how I was preparing it for the freezer. This lot here is some that went mouldy overnight. I don't know if you can see it there. I basically had washed it off in the hose as you saw in the video, and I just had it sitting on these little sieve racks, just drying downstairs in the laundry, and it started to develop mould overnight. So from what I've been told, probably not a good idea to keep these guys. Well, what we might do is we might go and dump them under the mango tree in my little compost. I just throw it over as like a mulch in a little composting area. What we do have though is, just bring them out here where there's some better light, we do have a lot of clean cloves. Most of these ones, by the way, that went mouldy are the ones that were from the store-bought garlic, not the Glenlarge. And this is all the little bulbs that I'm going to process today and pop in the freezer, and I thought I'd bring you along. And we also have the little braided bunch that Bianca made up, just the smaller Glenlarge still in the paper. We're just going to hang them in the pantry and just use them as we need them. But first off, we'll process all these guys and use these, and then hook into these at a later date. And she's back again for more. I don't know if there's many in there, love. But anyway, I also do have those little bulbules. They're just set downstairs in a little storage area. We're just going to let them dry out down there, out of the light. And they're what I'm going to use to plan out next season, hopefully to grow bigger bulbs than these guys here, just as a bit of an experiment. So I forgot to mention before, we also have the aquaponic garlic. This bulb here will pretty much be the first one we consume. We'll hook into these guys first, because I don't think they're going to last as long before we get it stuck into the other that we're hanging. And then we'll hook into what I'm processing today after that. So enough chatting, I'll go inside and I'll clean these up. So folks, all I'm doing is I'm just going through the cloves one by one. This one here is a little bit squishy on the end, so we'll just put him back and just making sure they're in fairly good nick. Just using this scrubby just to take off any of that skin that's stuck on there. So that's looking pretty good. My main concern is the fungus and the mould and the mildew. So most of them actually look to be in pretty good condition. The skin comes off fairly easily. There's a couple of little like bruise marks on some of them. I'm not too worried about that. You see that in shop bought garlic. Just so I give you a heads up on a couple of other videos I've got, namely for preserving other spice. I've actually got videos on how to grow both turmeric and ginger, but I've also got videos on how you can preserve them for use later on, whether it's for in the kitchen or for growing the next season. So if you want to check them out, you can find the link down in the description after we're finished with this video here. And by the way, if you're in Australia, it is time to get your ginger ready now for planning out. And you can click on that little clip up there, also a link in the description, if you want a couple of pointers on growing your own ginger. But I won't keep rabbiting on about that. We'll speed this up a bit. I'll finish cleaning off these cloves and we'll get stuck in to the next step of the process I'm going to use. So I've pretty much cleaned off all the loose garlic down there. Now I've got these bulbs here. I've just made them a little bit damp by handling them. I'm going to pop them out on the deck just to dry in the air. And then I'm just going to pop them in here, our little garlic hanger, and that'll just sit in the pantry for us to grab them when we need them. On to the next step with these guys though. So the next step here is to remove what I've officially dubbed the nub ends, basically the root ends of the garlic themselves. Just want to get rid of them in case there's any mould or baddies there. The likelihood of any of them surviving the heat is very low, but I think I want to err on the side of caution. So just taking them off, and it shouldn't take me too much longer. I'll tell you what though, it does smell absolutely gorgeous doing this, and it's actually giving me a bit of an appetite. If we had some sourdough, I'd make up a quick garlic bread on sourdough. But we've run out, alas. Anyway, I'll stop banging on about that. And if you leave this with me, I'll be back to you in a tick. So the next part of the process is pretty straightforward. We've just got a saucepan with some water on the boil and a little bit of a net basket in there, and probably be smarter to do it this way, Robert. Just going to blanch a few cloves at a time, pop them in there, pop the lid back on. So I'm just going to pop these guys in there for around about 3 minutes at a full boil, and then we'll come back and repeat the process till all these guys are done as well. And we've got 4 seconds, 3, 2, 1, and the timer's off. So I'll turn that off, take the lid off the saucepan, and I'm just going to pop these guys just into this strainer over the back while we do the next batch. So just shake a few in, probably do about half of them. There we go. They're back in there. Once we get to a rolling boil again, I'll put the timer on for another 3 minutes. So the timer just went off for this batch as well. So again, just going to pull them out. Hope I don't steam up the lens too much. Pop them in the colander and pop the next batch in. I'll just scoop those last couple in. And away we go. Once she comes up to a bit of a boil, I'll pop the timer on for another 3 minutes. So this batch is almost ready to go. But I thought I'd give you a bit of a look at, oh, there's a big shadow of the phone there. I thought I'd give you a bit of a look at what we're doing with these guys now. I've been in a colander for a while, giving them a bit of a shake, and I'm just going to dry them on this tea towel, clean tea towel. Just dry them off a bit before they go into the freezer. So they don't have to be perfectly dry. There's the timer for the rest of them. Move that away from the flame, Robert. That could have been a fun video. And we can turn the flame off now. Pull these guys out. Just let them, oh, I can just let them drain in this, I think. Pop them in there for a few minutes. I think that should be enough. We'll just pop them along the front there. And again, just give them a bit of a pat dry. And now I'm just going to pop them on the tray itself. So these guys are now right to go into the freezer downstairs. So folks, these are the garlic. They're not quite frozen, but I've just popped them in this little plastic takeaway tray, mainly because I've frozen fresh garlic before, and we ended up with butter when I put the butter in the container next, really smelling. So yeah, I thought I'd just use something that's a little bit more disposable this time around. And yeah, this is a bit of a look at the other garlic we have. The bits and pieces that have only got very thin skin on them, they're what we'll use first, followed by the aquaponic garlic, and then we have the garlic, the Glenlarge from the front of the veggie pod. And yeah, downstairs I have all those little bulbules ready to plant out for next season. So a bit of a dud harvest overall, but I just have to blame myself really. These store-bought garlics would have turned out really nicely, I think, if I just harvest them at the right time. So there you go, folks. I do hope you enjoyed that little bit of a look at how we're processing the garlic, just to keep it viable and try and save as much as we can from those funky cloves. And if you do want to check out those ginger and turmeric growing and processing videos, there will be a thumbnail that pops up there at the end of the clip, or maybe down there, depending on where I place it. So you can check that out if you're interested. And yeah, just a heads up, now is the time to be planting it if you're in southeast Queensland, Australia, and maybe in a month or so time if you're in one of the coolest states, now that it's September or spring here in Australia. So I would like to thank you all for coming along and sussing out the video, even though the harvest was a bit disappointing. And the special thanks does need to go to you folks who support us on the Farm Your Own Yard supporters website and also the YouTube membership platform. Thank you very much, folks. Quick plug for my aquaponics guide. I do have a beginner's aquaponics guide, $9.95 US. You can check that out via a link that will pop up at the end here. So I will leave it there. Do hope you're all well and happy and your own gardens and aquaponics are booming, and I will catch you next vid. Cheers folks, and happy growing. Nothing like some mealworms for breakfast, hey love? This is the one we call Lady. She got very fat there for a while and then lost a lot of weight suddenly. And ever since, she's been coming back, gorging herself, then collecting a few grubs like she's doing right now, and flying off. Bless you, Bianca.
She went a different way.